Soldiers of Eon started traveling north to Aurora's Rest, eventually landing the Blushwing in a port town called Final Fletch. You docked there, had some very odd food for some of you, some very expensive, very odd food. And you pressed on past the ports up to into the train station, which took you through the snowy mountains in a very magically engulfed train car that spit out flames in front of it to melt any snow that happened to lay on the tracks before you, from last time it arrived, went through the tracks. You had a very difficult couple of conversations internally. One with Margot running into somewhat of the boogeyman of her spy-like organization. He knew where you were, he interrogated you, and he dropped a bomb on you at the end with questioning, what do you know about your brother's death? All the while, Yaslin was not home. The lights were on, but nobody was home. Or actually, there was somebody else at home. And she did not remember being out of control of her body or the fact that she had already boarded the train to Aurora's Rest. In the middle of these difficult conversations and realizations with your inner workings of your party, the train blitzed through a large tunnel in the mountain, going completely dark externally, internally plenty of light, for several minutes before ejecting out onto the other side. Night sky lit up with a rainbow array of rippling aurora above a pointed, glowing, well-illuminated city. And every time one of the ripples in the aurora happened to clash with one of them, another one, it rained down in these streaks of color. And we ended with you getting your first glimpse at Aurora's Rest as the train starts heading down the mountain at a rather steep angle with a clear rooftop that became transparent so that the onlookers could view upward and see it. As you go down the mountain fairly steeply, you could almost look upward and see the city as well in the distance. You look down and there's a small town across an extremely large lake. A lake large, about as large as the city itself. And the train tracks lead into this little town, and a very long, large bridge spans the almost still glass-like surface of the lake, which is reflecting the aurora immaculately. And the bridge spans and goes into the city itself. You've got a few minutes, maybe 10-15 minutes or so, before you arrive in the town, as one final stop before you get into Aurora's Rest proper. What do you do in this tense yet beautiful moment amongst your group?
I'm just gonna lay down and stare up at the aurora.
Been a long time, Drew. The way you mimic it with your magic, the way you remember it, can never truly do it justice.
I was just gonna remain quiet, staring up. Recalling the conversation, and I think the one thing that's on his mind is Yaslin saying you didn't recognize it wasn't me. And he's just gonna let that sit in his head while staring up at the colors.
As you guys continue down the mountain, you lose sight of everything around you for a moment as you go back into a set of trees. They just begin whistling past you. You can only see what's in front of you, which isn't even that far as the train tracks begin to wind around. Is anybody staring out the window at the moment?
Yeah.
I think so. There's not much else to stare at except for everyone, and I think that's like Yaslin's last.
We're definitely not looking at each other.
Yeah, Yas. I think like Yaslin's like the last thing Yaslin wants to do is like look at people right now. She's like, God.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Margot and Yaslin, give me a perception check.
Not locked in, apparently.
Out of curiosity, Morgan, would Dro be able to tell, is this out of game what I think it is? The trees?
No.
Okay.
Regular trees.
Never mind.
What is happening?
Let's see here. Okay. Going back to it. 10, 6. No. All you see is just trees blitzing by numbingly.
I think that 6 was from my deception. Let me. Sorry, just.
Oh yeah, perception.
Wow.
Jeez. Yaslin wanting to focus on literally anything else except for her own self. Yaslin, you're seeing whites and greens and browns, purpley, bluish colored rocks, normal stuff. And almost in slow motion, some of it changes. You've got about 3/4 of a second where there's a little bit of a gap in the trees. And you look past. There's a little bit of a clearing, maybe 200 feet wide across from the train. And you see this like large hulking thing, very shaggy, walking through the snow, turns its head over towards the train. And it is not just black and white, but devoid of color. even the Aurora above makes the patch of snow in front of it, kind of glimmer with a little bit of red or purple or green, yellow as it kind of dances around. And this thing completely grayscale. And then the trees continue. Just a large, shaggy, heavy, beast-looking thing. A little Yeti-esque. You only catch it for a second, but it was a natural 20, so yeah.
Great to know that there's things lurking in these woods.
Mm-hmm. And of all the people who... of all the people to get the role that saw that, I'm so glad it was you, Pinky.
Ooh! Strange things out there, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Think about... I don't know if she quite yet, like, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna, after spilling all those things to everyone, she's kind of like, I don't really feel like spilling anything else.
Oh, by the way, I just saw a terrible, terrible monster.
Yeah, by the way, guys, there's maybe nightmarish creatures living out in these forests, I think. I hope that doesn't keep you up at night or anything. I'm gonna roll real quick because I'm not seeing when okay. It's working now.
Okay, it just missed that one. Whoa. Calm thyself, Olivia.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else doing anything at the moment?
I think I'm just keeping an eye on the others. Actually, I'm not looking out the windows. I am definitely worried about all of this. My group right now. They all have different levels of concern.
Yeah,
Mm.
for sure.
Margot's just sitting there wringing her hands. She has her gloves on, but she's just like constantly wringing her hands, looking out. Because she saw that the darkness is extended last time when she was in the bathroom.
Do we have like our winter clothes on? Like, how cold was it?
I would imagine we have our winter
Yeah,
clothes
I was
on.
like, Yaslin was definitely not wearing the same clothes she is wearing. She's definitely decked out in her winter gear, but
Yes. The final fletch was chilly, so it would have made sense to kind of put things on.
Which was an important note that she had her gloves on when she met her lovely friend, so we didn't see her blackened hand.
Mm-hmm. That is fair. Okay. After a few minutes of this tense quiet from the group, the trees stop completely. And the sound of a train just gliding along its track and the wind howling at it are the only things. Yaslin, you're looking around. Margot, you're in your head spacing out. Dro's just staring up. Seamus is looking at everybody else. Yaslin, you're really the only one that notices, but everybody will notice in a moment. The trees stop. There are no more trees. They just don't. You look around, and it's not like they've been clear-cut or anything. They just stopped growing at a relatively sharp line.
Okay.
Like there's a few that kind of like linger out, but it's probably only about like a 50-foot difference between where it's like pretty heavy and then it's like a harsh cutoff. Nice, Seamus. That is actually quite accurate for what I was describing.
Mid-journey to the rescue.
Aha. Okay. And the next thing you hear, kind of over an unspecified loudspeaker on the train, you hear, "Now entering High Roden. Last stop before Aurora's Rest." And within a few minutes, you begin to pull in to this little town across the lake, and you see the city in all its dazzling glory. You see these kind of mountain peaks that form a half bowl around the city, all of them with very pointed tips to the top of these mountains. And the buildings in the city down below seem to have mimicked that behavior. Pointed tips, easy to slough off snow and drop it to the ground so it doesn't lay on top and damage the architecture. And that is across the way, across the bridge, across the lake. And then on the other side of the lake, as you're entering into this little town, you see much more homey and residential sort of buildings. Probably the primary bulk of the workforce that operates in Aurora's Rest probably lives across the lake. It's a little cheaper, and they just commute into town every day and come back. It's too expensive for most to live there proper. And as you come in, the train station is opulent. Not overly, but well maintained. The vibe is immediately that of a tourist town, and tourist activity is everything, and whoever is in charge of the janitors here will not tolerate anything being out of place. It is very clean, very tidy. And you pull in, and you hear over the loudspeaker again, "Welcome to High Roden. Last stop before Aurora's Rest. This train will depart across the lake in 30 minutes. Please take a chance to stretch your legs, observe, and reboard if you would like to depart soon. A later time, approximately 2 hours, and there will be another train. Your ticket is good for any departure from High Roden to Aurora's Rest today. Thank you for riding." And nearby, the doors open up. You guys are in your kind of secluded pocket dimension room. You can stay on the train, or you can go out and explore.
Draw any reason to get off here.
Kind of snap out of looking up. Depends on if you want to feel a little bit taste of Aurora's Rest, and stretch your legs. Or if there's anything that you guys want to get that you may have forgotten. This is kind of, like she said, the last stop before, and he'll kind of motion towards Aurora's Rest. But
Does Aurora's Rest not have shopping in it?
it does. It is a lot more expensive than it would be here, though. And that is definitely on purpose. So,
Do we have need of things?
she just sits up and looks at everybody.
I think I'm good at the moment. If we have anything to sell, probably better sell it in Aurora's Rest also.
Can we see people coming in and out of the train? Or is both of our doors? Okay. Can I...
Well, you'd have to open up your door because it's private. It secludes things. You can open up and look out.
think I'll kind of stand up, one stretching legs, but casually walk by the door and open it and see who's leaving, who's getting on, and try to note anybody suspicious. Particularly our friend who decided to have a conversation with Margot.
Give me a perception check.
18.
18. Okay. You see normal folk coming and going. So you quickly filter that out. And you don't see any sign of who Margot was speaking with. That tall, dark-haired person, not visible at all. You do, however, see what is an attempted cloak at concealing this. You see somebody getting off the car with bound hands. They are in a runic pair of handcuffs with like kind of a coat draped over them, a couple of people side by side to that person. They're very clearly like a prisoner and about to get off for a moment. They seem to be very heavily guarded.
The individuals... Oh, go ahead.
Give me a history check.
$13.
Something about this person that you recognize. You only see them for a brief moment.
The person
White.
that's handcuffed?
Yeah.
Okay.
White hair. It's male, even though they have kind of some fine features. Long white hair, like almost down to their hips. Pale skin, overly red lips, and a little marking in their forehead. The last... It hasn't been that long since you heard this person's voice in your head as they communicated with you through a book. You did not expect to see them here.
Trying to recall that. Okay. The individuals standing next to the prisoner. What do I recognize the attire they are wearing?
Give me We'll roll with the history check there too. With your 18 plus the 13, you can see a slight curvature of a blade underneath their cloaks. They're well dressed, but you've seen that curvature enough that you recognize that's a specific type of dagger with a kind of like a moon curve to the handle. You're aware of who uses that symbol. And catch all this for just about a second and a half before they step off. They kind of blur into the crowd.
Shit. Slowly close the door. We are, Margot isn't the only one that has someone following him. And he looks at Seamus and Yaslin.
What are you talking about?
Seamus, remember when you met Yaslin and I, and we ran through our common employer? Remember the book that each one of us, well, individual that you were traveling with and myself had signed?
You're talking about them poachers.
Yeah. They're the one who communicates to those that sign that book, and honestly the one that's super annoying. And I kind of glances over at Margot. Ironically doesn't know personal space either. Was just in cuffs being escorted off the train.
Well, that's not so bad then.
Sounds like, yeah, your problem is solved if they've been arrested. They can't follow you anymore.
The concern I have is they don't work alone. And I only saw one.
To let their own people deal with the problem of getting them out, that is a distraction. From us at the very least.
Yeah, I would just be on a little bit of high alert. I'm going to try to recall, because it's been a bit, the appearance of each individual and minor illusion it as best as possible for Margot, so she has a general idea of what these individuals look like.
Okay. Give me another history check.
Oh, this is gonna go great. Yeah. Yeah, that's about right.
There's some great stick figures.
Oh.
Don't you have guidance?
I mean, 10's not bad. You get... I'll toss these up for about a second and a half each. I don't think I can control how long it shows for you guys, just if it does show for you.
It's okay, I have short-term memory loss.
Oh where.
Okay, so just general ideas, and like, just take this with a grain of salt. You didn't see these guys in their full gear or anything. So each one of these just, oh, come on. How do I? There we go.
The last guy's a vibe.
Which one?
The shirtless one with the like pink and orange.
He's a vibe?
He's a vibe, yeah. It's a whole vibe he's got going.
A little bit of like a
Like a tropical poacher. I don't know. It gives me beach vibes.
Oh yeah. And then also the tiger.
Could I see if I remember their names? Obviously.
Roll history.
It's
I'm gonna give
probably-
Yaslin disadvantage on
I
that.
100% understand that where that is. I understand. I totally get the reason why. Like, oh no.
Yep, that checks out.
This could be Jimmy for all we know.
And you made a deal with these people that you broke?
Listen, we worked for them.
And you broke your agreement.
We just didn't finish what we were supposed to.
What was the agreement? What were you doing for them?
You know, on the mountain?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were supposed to, Yo, do you want to explain this one?
Margot, do you recall before we left the top of the mountain, Yaslin and I had thrown an object off?
Yes.
We were tasked with meeting up with Seamus here, along with others, and we were tasked with the capture of the Kieran.
And now you've allied yourself with it, thereby breaking your agreement.
That, or the fact that we took their equipment and threw it off a mountain.
Too, yes. Is not kindly looked upon by most.
Yeah, and if I recall, on the way up, I'm not 100% positive, but I may have seen, I don't know if it was them, but a group utilizing what looked to be what Yaslin and I had, and it was to poison the land to draw out the Kieran. So us throwing that off, not communicating back to him, and myself now aligning and becoming the champion of this Kieran.
Could they have been involved in somehow drawing fire there? To further weaken the Kieran?
I don't... We... And kind of motions between himself and Yaslin. Weren't with them super long, but they didn't seem like they would go to that extent. That might have just been a coincidence, but
I feel like someone who would poison the land would not see a problem resorting to weakening an enemy by calling other enemies.
I think it was more of they saw the opportunity of fire invading and they tried to take advantage of it.
Fire could not have been invading that long, though. Did they know the attack was going to occur prior to?
If they did not inform us. We were told to meet up with this, what word did they use? Unique set of individuals. And we were tasked with just capturing the Kieran. That's it. That's all the information we had. We were giving those devices and told that this group is on the same goal as us and we could provide support, and now we're here. And now one of them is very far from home in custody.
You said this group had the same goal as you. Was that your original goal?
Are you speaking of capturing the Kieran?
You just said they had the same goal as you.
No, I mean a goal that was given to both Seamus and his companions, and then Yaslin and I.
So do you think the one in custody tracked you here and got caught?
That is a good possibility. But it still brings up the question of I've never seen them by themselves. They've always been together, and they would use outside help, kind of motions to himself and Yaslin, to take care of a lot of their work.
Do they know of your past with Aurora's Rest?
If they did, I'd be very surprised on how they knew. But I'm pretty confident in saying they do not. The only people that know my past is those here in Aurora's Rest, those few individuals, and you guys.
So you think they will not try to leverage the city's authorities against you?
Didn't think so till now.
It's what I would do if I was tracking someone.
That's fair. That is a possibility.
We need you to remain extra sneaky.
That I can confidently say I can handle.
Well, we have 2 hours till the next train if you wanted to go conduct personal interrogations on that man. Separate him, get him isolated, and question him. Or do you think it's not worth the risk?
I don't think doing it here is the smartest, especially with us trying to lay low. Honestly, I didn't think they would track us down this fast. I think we're better off heading into the city first, and me having a conversation with Rendar and see what he thinks. He has connections and could possibly get the answers we need without us having to intervene. I'm hoping.
Well, whatever you need.
I personally don't have any interest in wandering off this train at the moment, to reduce the chance of any issues showing up. But if you guys feel like you need to, like she said, stretch your legs, unpack everything that has happened so far, I would say feel free, but just don't go alone.
So I would like to stretch my legs. I'll be very careful. As careful as I can.
It's about 10 minutes since you guys arrived at the train station. You've got about 20 minutes left before the train would depart again.
Charlie's gonna get back up and peek out the door and look for the symbol he saw on those guards.
Vic, give me a perception check.
$11.
No. Nothing else. It was only reason you saw it is because you were trained to see it.
Alright. I'll stay near the station.
I'll step out there with you, Yaslin, just to help keep an eye on things.
Appreciate it.
I guess
Okay.
I'll stay here.
Yaslin, Seamus, as you step out, there's a blast of bitingly cold air that hits you. And almost immediately, you hear somebody hawking in your direction. Thermal cubes! Get your thermal cubes!
Okay, I'll go towards them. Instantly like a moth to a heater. Yaslin has like never experienced like freezing cold. She's lived in the jungle her entire life where it's warm and humid, and she's like instantly hates this place.
Yeah, you come here. Big red lady. Yeah, I got what you need. Alright, so, and his stall is, this dude must pay a ridiculous premium to have this spot. But you see Theo's thermals in like the big arched lettering, and it's like a little bit like it's like a wooden sign, and you've got like a whole line of hawkers that are in different stalls and everything going down the way as well. But this one is amply positioned to get all the new people who haven't ever felt a true cold before. Yep. It's like, what are you looking for? Typically, they call it thermal cube. That's the original shape. We've got modifications on that. Different styles. You can do necklaces, bracelets, gauntlets if you really feel like it. Those are a little pricey, but you look like you can throw a good punch. What can I get you?
Something that'll just keep me warm.
That's literally everything in my shop. So how would you like it to appear? The typical, and he reaches over and grabs just like a cube that's about like 4 inches on all sides. And he just tosses it over to you, catch it, and kind of like the air around you just instantly feels warmer. It's like, not everybody's acclimated to the space around here, so we do our best to make sure that even if you're not from these parts, you can be here just fine and enjoy the festivities like everybody else. This one here, this is a basic one. It's not the sexiest version, but that'll run you. We mass produce these things like crazy. We have streamlined that process incredibly well. 50 gold for that. Typically, you'll find that anywhere else in the world, just about double or triple the price.
You have something that I don't have to hold to be warm.
And that's where we get a little pricier. He reaches over and grabs it. The heat kind of goes away a little bit. This is all part of his process to give you a little taste and then retract it.
True.
And
this is 100% falling for the marketing too.
And he turns around and he opens up essentially what is a cabinet, and he opens up and he's got necklaces, chokers, bracelets, brooches, hats. He's got a whole style wall of this. It's It's very in vogue in Aurora's Rest. I mean, if you hold the cube, it kind of is a dead giveaway that you're a little bit not, well-to-do. So make it fancier. You get a lot of praise for the ways that you're clever about how you keep your heat. And like you already got the gilded horns thing. Let's see. On you, let me see your hand. Any rings or anything there?
No.
What about this? What's your budget? First of all, I'm thinking like a decorative, like finger claw.
Do you want to hear my budget?
Well, yeah, I mean,
we can go up to like 250.
ooh, 250. All right.
She wants to stay warm, and if she can do it in some little bit of fashion, listen.
Right. Okay. Now, reasonable businessman, I've got cohorts across the bridge. They will take you for every dime you're worth. I will leave 3 dimes in your pocket by comparison.
Oh.
So, how about this? And he goes over and he kind of looks at your hand, goes for some sizing, and he brings out like 3 of these, like individual armored claws that would like slip over your fingers. And he's like, 3 of them, about, let's see here. For all 3, I'll drop it. So normally they're 75 a piece. I'll drop it down to, instead of 225, let's do 215.
I'm gonna step up next to her and wave my hand kind of in front of him and say, why don't you give her your best price that you would give to a wholesaler? Suggestion, as I say that.
Not subtle casting it then, if you're doing the Jedi way.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do the whole...
Alright.
Oh my
Let's see
God.
here, it's a wisdom save, right?
That's right, 17.
Okay, it was close. He rolled a natural 13. Dude's wisdom is not a +4 as a salesman. He kind of looks at you and he's like, alright. You buying one, sir, too? You buying one, too, sir?
No, I think I'm good.
You think you're good? Alright. Well, I like you. Most people are like, hey, give me the base price. I don't care if I look like a schlum. For you, alright, yeah, let's do it. Alright, 65 each. That brings you to 195. 195. That's the best I can do.
Just a question before I agree to this. How
Sure,
durable are these?
question of the way.
Like, if I were to hit somebody wearing this, would I damage these?
I wouldn't recommend face punching a belay, but besides that, or something
So,
comparable, they're pretty good.
I might need something a little less sophisticated. Do you have, perchance, like a charm that I could put on my necklace?
Oh, yeah, certainly. He goes over and he's like, that's a no to the claws.
It's a no to the claws, simply because I have a tendency to punch things on occasions.
I like your honesty there. All right, so and he grabs the claws back, goes up and he kind of like does an up down on you. It's kind of like gauging your vibe. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Favorite time of year?
Fall. Autumn. The time when the leaves fall. But they don't really ever fall where I'm from. It's just... It's a little muddy.
Little muddy, little muggy. Where are you from?
Is it just called the Tawny Forest?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think looking at a map, like invisible map in front of her, like I think this way. And she's like, her east, over here,
Yeah.
east northeast.
Right. You guys are way north, so it'd be like
Oh, so it's like maybe
southeast.
here then.
Oh, all right. Middle of the world, kind of jungly.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, at least on this continent, it's jungly. All right. Okay. And he goes up and he grabs something out of a container, and it's like this silver gilded branch, and he has like one of his cubes is like this maple leaf that's kind of like a reddish orange, and he like does a little bit of like tinker magic on it, and like the two of them like fuse together. It's like, how about this? So it's kind of like a hanging branch with like one leaf as like the lowest point. All right, that one by itself,
All right.
and I already like you. $58.
I'll take it.
All right. So you have essentially a thermal cube in your possession.
Now I'm not gonna be cold. And it's fashionable too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pleasure
Right,
doing
and-
business with you, Theo.
Likewise, and if any of those scavengers across the way try to sell you one, just tell them you got it at Theo's. I love seeing their faces.
Let them know.
Pleasure doing business with you. All right. And then, in addition to that, it is market. There's deep spices fill the air that smells of like fried things that are just like full of fats and deliciousness. There's beautiful baubles and everything. Like, this town almost has like an old German style feel. Lots of handmade stuff, lots of cuteness and quirkness. Anything else you guys are looking for as you roam around?
I think Yaslin was mainly just wanted to leave the cart to stretch her legs because she feels like she was probably confined for quite some time. Her first
Oh,
real
definitely.
actual get to be outside.
I think
Seamus,
is
you do
good,
anything?
too. No, I was mostly keeping an eye on Yaslin to make sure she didn't stir up some trouble out here, and also to get like a feel for what the blue collar part of the area is like, and
Yeah.
I like what I
Lots and
see.
lots of makers here right now. Seamus, with your, give me an investigation check. Let's do this at like, if you're, sorry, are you interested in kind of figuring out like how what was was his price point on point, or was he inflating?
Well, I cast suggestion and told him to give us his wholesaler prices, and I felt like it took, so I felt like he would have given us probably the best prices that he would have offered to somebody. So,
Yeah.
Everything here might be a little cheaper than in Aurora's Rest or not. I'm not really sure, but I just didn't want Yaslin to get taken to town by the first vendor that she came across.
Yeah, you let Yaslin offer like an insane amount of gold, and you're just like, oh, okay. Yaslin has no concept of value.
Reel her back in. Got it. yeah, you guys stretch your legs for a bit. You go around. There's cute little things. There's tasty treats. There's a large variety of people, more so than either of you have ever seen before. Like in any of the places, like in the Ripples, even at Final Fletch, which was pretty diverse, seems like everything is here. It's hard to get more than a count of 2 or 3 members of the same race grouped up at the same time. Short, tall, broad, strange, skinny. You've got a whole slew of cast members walking through the streets here. Many of them, like race-wise, there's a mass amount of variety. General vibe of population here that don't look like tourists, and the tourists are very easy to identify with the, oh, look at that, sort of eyes. But the ones who move around like they're familiar and they don't even see half the town anymore, because it's just so normal to them, you see a lot that look at least somewhat scholarly. And you see a lot, so it's kind of divided up into 3 groups. The ones that look scholarly, like they're a teacher's aide at a college. You see plenty that are very flamboyantly dressed, like you can easily tell that there's a lot of entertainers here. Lots and lots of street performers, like people trying to get you to come and give them tips for their show. Juggling, dodging flaming knives. Anything that has like a wow factor that would like pull somebody in. Especially for like normal folk. You guys are not normal folk, so some of it is like you see somebody like dancing with like a tamed like snake. You're like, I've done cooler. So some of it doesn't land for you guys. But and then the other one just looks like general workers, kind of plain little bits. The type that just look at their feet a little bit more. They don't seem depressed, but they do seem like they've got a little bit like the same routine just baked into them for a long, long time.
It's a diverse city for being out in the middle of nowhere.
I don't think it's necessarily out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you could probably say my own home is out in the middle of nowhere.
Just about as far north on the continent as I think this goes. One train in, one train out.
Quick question. Is Aeon... this is looking... I feel like a dumb question, but is Aeon a round planet? Are we flat earthers?
No, I did not encourage flat earthers with my world.
Okay, I was like, is it like, because like when Seamus said like, this is about as far up north as you go, I was like, are you telling me that there's just nothing past this?
Roll a history check.
Yaslin definitely
For
had a moment
geography
where
class.
she was like,
Wow. This is one of the few things that Yaslin paid attention to in history class for.
It's probably how she was able to travel, is because she was
Mm-hmm.
okay
Yeah,
at
geography.
locations.
Geography is not a strong suit for Yaslin. Sounds good. So you are on the continent of Bordea. And where is it? Did I not do this at some point? I swear I made this
I
map.
thought you sent us the map, but I don't know
There's
where it is.
I think there's a part of it that I'm missing. Anyways, so Bordea is okay. I'll send you the link for. Oh, maybe I have it in here already. Actually, journal maps. Hey, I do have it in here. Yay! Okay, so this is most of the Bordea continent, and it it's kind of cut off, but it thins down into a thinner point, right where you see that that gulf coming in, and then it kind of scoops up, and there's a little bit heavier on the bottom, so the whole thing is kind of shaped like almost like a pointy hand.
Oh,
And
okay.
then if somebody else added like a little bit more to the bottom. And Ptolemy is almost in the center of where Bordea turns and scoops up towards the other side. And Aurora's Rest is where you are going, where you are now, which is the very tip of the continent. But the separation between North Bordea and South Bordea, it's all one landmass, but they consider it two separate continents, is basically right below the Ptolemy Forest. As it does swoop around, that's where it becomes considered South Bordea.
Okay.
But you also know that this is not literally the only
Continent?
the most northern landmass in the
Okay.
world. There is like an Arctic sort of space up north beyond this. And even as like you're coming into the train, you can see it very, very slightly in the distance. But the accessibility into that place seems to be massively difficult, and there's precious little known about it. Specifically, the continent itself is ringed with very high, snowy, icy mountains. So, little geography lesson for randomness.
So it's not a Yaslin friendly place. All I'm getting from this is
No.
that's a no place for Yaslin. She's like, if you guys are gonna go over there, I'll stay back where it's warm.
Yeah, it was kind of like
Buy me a couple more thermal cubes.
it was kind of like in class. It was kind of like this. Oh, that's really cool. Maybe I want to go there. And then somebody was like, it's cold, and you're like, never mind.
Thank you,
Don't
but
want
no
it.
thank you. Don't want it, don't
Yeah.
need it.
You remember it because of that like random moment.
It's like, oh, this is really cold up there. Yeah, it's really cold up there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alright, good to know. I guess there's something a little higher up, but I will never ever go there.
Never
Yes, the
seen that.
GM has no plans for that location.
You'll have to drag Yaslin by her claws and boots. Hi, Mimi. Here.
5 minutes to departure to Aurora's Rest.
We should get back on the train. Ah, giant cat.
What's up, kitty
Ro and I
cat?
hang out on the train.
Yep. Dro, Margot, saying anything or just like still awkwardly not talking?
I think Zero's chilling by the door, keeping an eye out for any of the poachers that he hasn't seen, but also that symbol. And I think after everything happened, I think realization would probably hit him that it is very cold. So he would check on how Margot is doing just by looking to see if she's like shivering, or if the winter clothes we have are working, which honestly I think Joe would know would not be the case, but
Hmm. Yeah, you know this, and like you had a thermal cube when you left. It was one of the things that you like sold to get by as you like ran away and like got into a new location. And you know that just about everybody, unless they like happen to be resistant to cold or they layer on a ton of clothing. There's different ways that people will go about it to stay warm. Definitely the easiest way is a cube.
so not looking at her, still keeping lookout, but Margot, I know we got new clothing for this, but how are you bearing with the weather right now?
It's certainly chilly.
I probably should have said this before the two left, but hopefully they found it. There are items probably here, no, definitely here, that will help keep you warm.
Well, hopefully they remember to pick up some for the whole group while they're out.
I want to believe that they will, but worst case, even though it is probably cheaper here, there will be stuff like that in Aurora's Rest. So, if by some miracle they come back with actual, what are called thermal cubes, then we're good. But if not, we may want to plan on picking up some.
We can. We certainly have the money to do so now. You should probably not stand so obviously out there. Alec, we don't know who's watching our car. Private cars are often full of interesting people.
That is fair. I think they'll move away from the door, but not out of view of outside the door.
Bro, give me a perception check as you're out there giving like this security scan that you described.
Guidance this time. Thank God.
18. Okay.
Nice.
You look out and you don't see any of the other poachers. You just see, you feel like you're being very attentive, yet it all seems normal, or at least what you assume is normal when you're not rushing through trying to escape.
So this train, okay, it came from it's a one-way. So that means that poacher was on the train, got on with us.
Yep.
Okay. I think I got. Now that I think about it, and I'm guilty of it myself, but do you think Yaslin's gonna be okay out there with all of the gold she has now?
Well, I don't know if she's probably okay with any gold after I saw her spend 70 gold on some meat. But Seamus is there, but Seamus was there before as well, so honestly, we split it up evenly, so if she spends all her gold now, that's on her.
Yeah, and knowing Seamus, he's probably gonna come back and say we have another source of income now.
It's funny how we never actually see incomes from these sources.
That's very fair. And I feel like every time we ask him, he knows a way to talk circles around it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, certainly is good at that.
I
But we
have
all are in our ways.
I have a feeling though in the city we may want to be a little more cautious, because it is very easy to come into the city with money and leave with none.
Well, all of us are being haunted by different people at the same time, so I think caution should be our way of life, for now at least. And we now know that my organization and your poachers may both be in the city hunting us simultaneously, so that should inform our decisions, perhaps a little more strongly than it has in the past.
Yeah, and with Yaslin losing memories or time and just
That
everything.
frightens me. If she loses control in the city, what damage she could do.
Did On that note, did you know that wasn't Yaslin?
No, she seemed off, but did not think it was a completely different being. Just had an attitude or something.
Just kind of hold
The
his
only way I
necklace.
could confirm is I would not do this without her permission, but I could confirm by going into her mind. That would likely be incredibly dangerous for both of us.
Yeah, I mean, from past events, yeah. I guess.
But had we known that she wasn't herself, I may have been able to pull herself back. We could say if soldado. That's not helpful.
I guess we will just. And he's just gonna look down at the floor of the car. We'll just have to keep a better eye. Because I guess I don't know her as much as thought I did.
You can't blame yourself for that. This thing is born of this magic that we already know is bad news. It's changed all of us in a way.
Yeah, you definitely don't have to tell me twice. This this eye is obviously noticeable, but it is interesting. It's like when I try to read people, I can see some sort of energy or something around them. When it first happened is when we were on that ship, and when I had a quick glance at everyone was very different. But it wasn't. People can read people some better than others at times. With this, it just seemed like it gave me a little bit of an edge in understanding. For example, you were terrified on that ship. But so was Dyer in a different way. And it's just, I figured with this being able to read people, I normally can read Yaslin, even though it's not very complicated at times. Even with this, and if I recall, I even tried to read her, and I still thought it was her.
Gift is powerful in its own way, but careful that the gift does not become a crutch. Perhaps that's part of what blinded you to the changes in Yaslin.
Yeah, I need to understand this more, and I think being back here and especially talking to Randar, that might help me understand how to utilize this better, because if last time I tried to use this with both my eyes open, I felt very woozy. So we will just have to see and add that to the never-ending list of tasks that we have.
If there was a way to purge this power from your body, would you?
Honestly, I don't know. There's a part of me that wants to say yes because of what kind of power this is, and it sounds like it's just a begin for worse to come. Then there's a part of me that wants to say no, but not with evil intent, but more of utilizing it to help. And that's why I want to see if I can master this ability, this curse gift, whatever you want to call it, and see if I can use it. But like you said, if it becomes too much of a crutch or a burden, or puts a target on any of our backs more than there already is, then going down the road of finding a way to purge it is a possibility.
Using what you've been cursed with for the benefit of your allies' safety is okay then.
I'm not the greatest on saying this, considering I do this quite frequently, of putting my life on the line for others, but if your intent is to use, and he's going to glance down at your hand, what you call a curse to protect those, if you believe you can control it, then it doesn't seem like a curse to me. It seems like a gift. Even if it entails that tree. It's a matter. He'll kind of stop for a minute and just kind of grin. It's ironic I'm giving advice when back home, every time someone gave me advice, I laughed in their face. Ah. Anyways. That tree was very powerful. But I've seen you do some pretty crazy shit. And And if he relies on you to survive, at least to me, it sounds like you have the power over him. And I don't understand, honestly, how magic works. It seems like it comes natural to both Seamus and you, but I feel if you can master it and grow stronger, you can use it as a gift to protect yourself and those you care about.
But I wasn't in control on the ship. Just as Yazan was not control in the caves below the temple.
And that was the first time for both of you encountering such power, from my understanding, and in the same way, I don't think most people pick up first try and are professionals at it. And yes, that was interesting, but I mean, I'm in the same boat. The first time that Echo took over, I had no control, but we did learn as time went on to control it. And if I know anything, and I think Seamus would agree with this as well, you and Yazan are very terrifying when pissed off and very powerful. So I have no doubt in my mind that both of you can control whatever this is. And the bright side is you're not alone with it. And I think if, I don't remember where it is, Echo's sword, is it on Margot's person?
Yeah, unless you've taken it back.
When he says you're not alone with it, he kind of looks down at the sword and smiles.
We shall see. It seems like other beings do not have the same vote of confidence in my abilities that you do, but we'll see.
I don't think those other beings have had fireballs thrown at them and been fine.
You can remedy that easily.
And to be fair, I think at this point, everyone in this group, maybe besides Seamus, has somehow injured me in some sort of way.
I think I actually injured you.
Injured, traumatized, same thing.
This, though, is a problem. She's gonna take her glove off. I can't just have this when we go home. We'll have to find a way to hide this or remove it. Something. Because if you want the help of my people, I can't be outcast for being whatever this is.
Then it's a good thing we're going to a place that has a lot of answers to all the questions we have, either it being here or in the or at the guild. But I think it is a good idea to ensure that those that we talk to about majority of these questions are very trusted individuals.
I know Seamus trusts the guild, do you? They are so willing to part with knowledge for us. Who's to say they won't give our knowledge to others?
I trust Seamus. So if he trusts them, and I trust him, we'll just have to see.
Guess that's the best we can work with for now.
Your your room door opens up and Yaslin and Seamus walk back in.
Man, guys, it's so freaking cold out there.
Yeah,
Don't mention that.
I kind of forgot to mention that there is items here.
Yeah,
That
yeah. You know, I stepped off this train, and the first thing I heard was thermal cubes, and it was really cold. So I got myself one. It's so much better. Let me tell you, it makes a world of a difference.
we'll look over at Margot. We were right.
What?
Did you think about the rest of the party?
The train
Okay, well-
begins to take off.
Well, in my defense,
To me, I'm
In
all of
the-
like 10
in the
pounds hopping.
cold
What,
of-
do you think I can survive the cold?
in the cold of the moment, it was me who was cold and not you. Okay?
In my defense, outside of the game, I didn't realize it was that cold. Otherwise, I may have thought about myself and others. I assumed that our warm clothes was enough.
Yeah, it is like bitingly horrid cold up here.
Yaslin's
That-
just the most sissy of them all when it comes to drastic climate changes. I mean, I'm sure we could all huddle together.
We can look at getting some more of these cubes maybe when we get into Aurora's Rest. I didn't realize it was that cold, but it's pretty chilly out there. And I prefer the cold over the hot.
Yeah, it's like comparing it to like real temperatures, it's about like 7 degrees. You know, it might get a little bit colder as it goes deeper into the night. Very common to get into the negatives.
Yeah, you just need warm clothes for that. I'm from Colorado.
Yeah, I was like, really? I was like, oh, that's not bad. Literally, get your get like sweatpants on, get your winter jacket
Yeah, I think
on,
like
your
with our winter clothes, we might be
scarf.
fine, just not comfortable.
I think it's
And that's
when
really
you,
what it is.
when you start actively like going out into the weather and like
For long periods of time, yeah.
for long periods of time. Like if you're casually in it for a while, it's okay. But yeah,
Oh yeah,
definitely
and
need a little extra when you're skiing.
yeah, and just from and you'll just kind of learn as you go, and so I'll just throw this one in early. Like kind of the further away you get from like the middle of town, the colder it gets. Also,
Mm-hmm.
and the train station was in the middle of town.
So it wasn't.
Heat
It wasn't
island
too
effect.
bad. Yeah.
Okay. The train continues, and within about 30 seconds, it pulls out of the station and ramps up quite quickly onto a large, elongated, kind of sloped bridge. And you can look out of the window, and the clear top is still showcasing the aurora above. But you can also look out the window, and the lake is just smooth and calm. You can see the aurora glimmering in that as well, and you see an occasional like spark of magical energy like fly off the train, roll down and kind of touch the surface of the water, and it goes tick, 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 and then kind of like dissipates, and there's no ripples from the little spark until the final one where it kind of pops The ripples go out and fade very quickly. Along the way, you see kind of like a couple of fish jump out, like an almost pure white fish with a deep blue stripe running down what is essentially a horn all the way down to its tail. It jumps up and goes back into the water, and there's very little splash. And the ripples go out for about 2 feet and then stop. And it is a calm journey. Goes over.
There are hot springs under the lake, Dro. How is it that it doesn't freeze over?
That. I mean, at times it does. Honestly, it's interesting here, and you'll see within the city, and you've experienced how cold it can get. And I probably should pay more attention when they were telling me and showing me. But it's something to do with the magic that's practiced here. I mean, you've seen a little bit of it, the train and everything, and that's just the very tip of it. It's hard to explain, and it's easier just to see.
Amos, give me a perception check as you guys are talking.
Who?
Seamus,
What was that?
give me a perception check as you're talking and thinking about the lake.
Can I
Nice.
pop my eyes?
Woo! Seamus, as you're going along, and you are seeing a lot of different colors play across the top of the surface here. And like when you see the fish jump and like when there's like these little ripples that do happen, the water does seem liquid. Like lack of rippling typically alludes to a high viscosity, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It's just not, like the ripples just don't carry very far. And as you're kind of looking into it, you stare down and you see, like, they're very, very small. You have to pay attention, but the entire lake kind of has a purplish blue hue to it, and that's not including the lights playing off of it from above. But eventually, they're kind of staring at it, and you zone in, and you eventually see, like a few times here and there, you see like just these tiny little purple dots, just kind of like shifting and moving around in the water.
And I pop my special eyes, looking out at everything.
Sorry, Margot, what'd you say? I didn't quite catch that.
I'm turning on my true sight,
Oh,
looking
gotcha.
out at everything.
Oh boy. Okay. Give me a perception check.
Be overwhelmed by everything I see.
Yeah, that's a little bit of where this is going.
Ooh,
Okay.
21.
21. So as you're going across the lake, one of the things that catches you is that the city is very vibrant on its own. It's big, and like as it comes up, it continues to like eat up more of the horizon line as you get closer. You pop your eyes and you start to see what the Aurora is doing up top, and it immediately reads as, I mean, your true sight only goes so far, but this is such a big thing that it's reaching you anyways. And you see that this is not just like a play of lights. This is an interplay of every magic school there is. It is just pure magical energies, like wafting above this city. And you see little moments, like when you pop true sight, normally you can see into the astral plane, the kind of like parallel plane that surrounds Aeon itself. Now, Aeon is, as you've discovered and discussed before, Aeon has multiple dimensions, but they are contained to just the planet. It's like they're just multiple layers of the same planet space that house different things. One of them is the ethereal plane, one of them is the dream plane. And oftentimes you see little creatures, like a little jellyfish or something that is in the ethereal plane that doesn't actually have tentacles. It's just got like connected, like dotted lines, or like what would be a dotted line, but there's no line. It's just a series of dots kind of following the flow of tentacles. You see or like a fish with like that looks friendly until it blinks, and there's like teeth that come down and like close around the eye. Instead of like, it doesn't have a mouth, it's like all in the same spot. So it's like you're used to seeing like weird shit that comes through the ethereal. And up above so give me an Arcana check with this.
21.
Rose mentioned that they study magic here. And you pop your eyes and you immediately understand why. You can feel and see all these different, like, the just difficult magical energies that can be tapped into and transformed into a fireball, or molding a chair out of thin air, or whatever. That's like one of the basics of magic, is like the magic already exists and you are just using the energy. This place is so thick with magical energy, it's a surprise that anybody can breathe. And you see the ripples happening up in the Aurora, but you also see through them. You can see into multiple different dimensions at the same time. You are not only seeing into the ethereal here. You look up and it's like seeing things through like a cheesecloth. You can see into these other realms. It is very thin and you can see them. They're not necessarily overlapping. They're not necessarily coming through or anything. But you can see that there is more there. And you look out at the city, there are various spots. Almost every building in the city has, actually that's not true. There's kind of as you're coming up through the lake. Oh, I have another map to share with you guys. Alright, just a second as I mess with the thing. Okay, so the tracks kind of cut across the lake, and as you're coming into town, you see there's one main section which is on the screen right now, and that seems to be very light, very vibrant. There's a lot of things happening there. And then as you like turn a little bit around the corner, oh, and also you guys are on a giant cliff. I forgot to mention that part. But as you're coming down from the mountain, you can see this lake has a massive like waterfall coming off of a cliff on the left side. The town of High Roden is nestled between the lake and the cliff, and then far down below is the ocean, which is primarily kind of like frozen around, and that waterfall is a little bit purpley even. But as you kind of go around the side of this like nested mountain ring that houses the city, the kind of more northeastern side of the city, it's a little bit less spire-like and a little bit more dome-like, and there's a lot of towers-looking structures over there. And as you are looking around, you can, especially on the right-hand side of the city, you can see all those different magical energies up top being kind of like siphoned in, almost like like a series of spaghetti, like being pulled directly into the buildings themselves.
Oh my god. I think Margot just looks awestruck as she's looking around.
You guys with the high perception rolls tonight.
While looking out, and Dro, I guess, does Dro know what's over to the, what would be the right of that map?
Yeah.
Can he see it?
Yes. Oh, come on.
So I think
I can't type very well today, guys. Sorry. Oh, that. Yes. You guys are far enough along the bridge, and you know where to look. It's like as you're coming down, it's kind of bowled out. You can't really see through it. You have to wait until you're kind of like halfway across the lake to look back and find that location. You can see it.
I think once that gets in view, I think all his attention just kind of looks back at it. And doesn't say anything and just kind of takes it in.
So
Yasmin,
it
what
looks
are
like
you
they're
doing?
siphoning magic, basically, from the sky.
With a 21 on both perception and arcana, siphoning doesn't really quite capture it. It's more like channeling. Okay. Margot's staring up into the sky. Seamus is staring down into the lake. Oh, and Seamus, you got a natural 20. Something big moves down there. So. Not entirely sure, but you mostly notice it because you're staring at like all these little purple super small, like purpley organisms of some sort. And you don't actually see anything down there. You just see a collection of them at some point get disturbed, like something passed them, and it was big enough to create like a wave underneath the water of these little purpley things. And Yaslin, what are you doing?
I think, like, after being exposed to, like, all that cold and then getting really warm, she's, like, just slightly getting a little bit of shut-eye before their final stop. She's like, I'm just gonna close my eyes, trusting if something were to happen. She's got all of her teammates around, so...
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, and you guys pull into the station. The city comes up, and at this point it is now looming above you. We are talking like not quite New York level, but we're talking like maybe Chicago or Atlanta level skyscrapers. Ones that reach up 50 to 100 floors very frequently. And the closer you are to the lake, the lower you are. As you go deeper up into the snug of the mountain, they get higher and higher and higher. Almost like, architecturally, like they're trying to reach the buildings to the peak of the mountains themselves. And you come in, and the station has this large, gaping mouth to take care or to take entry for the train station. The bridge kind of just swoops down into it. You come in, and you are near sea level or lake level as you come in, and it gets a little bit dark. And as your eyes adjust away from seeing the Aurora, you blink around, and it is a glorious, immaculate, way over the top, but beautifully done architecture in here. It's like every square inch of this place was crafted by an absolute artisan. The filigree anywhere in this place, as you like pass an arch, there's not a piece of paint missing or a chipped tile anywhere. This place is perfect. And again, you come into the station and you slow down, and the voice says, "Welcome to Aurora's Rest, northernmost stop of the world. Please enjoy your stay." And the doors open.
Oh my god, please.
And that's where we will take our break. Okay, so you guys step off of this platform, and as you do, immediately people start to shuffle around, move about. You are not the only ones that are kind of like, unsure of like where to go in all of this or anything like that. There are other people that are looking around, and coming in from like several different locations inside of this room, everybody that looks like they're new is flocked with people, including you guys. You have a very tall bird folk person with like a kind of a white plumage, but all their whole frill is purposely dyed into rainbows, and they come up and they do a grandiose bow. "Hello and welcome to Aurora's Rest. I take it you need a place to stay, yes?"
We. I'm gonna glance at Dro. I think we know where we're going.
Oh, are you sure? It's too bad because we really do have the best location in this city, especially for new people arriving here for the first time.
I'm just making sure all my stuff is well secured, hidden.
Give me an insight check.
Not just on him, I'm like watching out for pickpockets too in this crowd.
That's fair.
And I do still have my sight up.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 9.
Nat 3. Your sight is still a little overwhelmed by everything else that's going on. But from this guy, you're not getting shifty, you're getting hospitality. He says, I can easily take you to the Gilded Griffin. It is definitely the best accommodations in the city. You, young lass, look like you belong in a place that knows how to pamper you with style.
I'm just
Oh,
gonna
boy.
say in Dro's head. Is that where we want to go, or did you have somewhere else in mind?
The minute Dro hears that, I just head down, just kind of laughs to himself. Which I recommend us, and this is in head to just Margot. If we want to talk to Rendar, we might want to get somewhere that is a little bit closer to at least the location I would expect him to be. And if I remember correctly, I think it was called the Runic Tankard.
I was just gonna say to the Aarakocra. Oh, thank you, but we already have reservations at the Runic Tankard.
Understood. Now, if you change your mind or if you want an upgrade, the tankard is great for a place where you, if you want to get a little rowdy, hear a little bit of dwarvish folktale, the like. But if you get tired of that, and he has nothing in his hand, and as he like lays his hand out, it like poofs with like a card. So, you come and see us. Ask for Tico.
Tico, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shall we get out of this station?
Dro's kind of taking in this station a little bit, since he actually has the time to this time. Also wants to take a peek for the same symbol, and then as well as the guards.
Okay, give me a am I mute? Nope, not on mute for once. Woohoo! Give me a perception check, Drew.
Guidance. 21.
Okay, 21. Okay, so you were looking for the symbol that you saw before.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you take in the space around you. You didn't look up beyond your feet last time you came in here. You literally didn't even see this place. The arched dome here is essentially patterned a little bit like a tortoise shell. And each one of them has like its own slightly unique texture to it. So every time that the lights come in and hit one of these textured quarter sections of glass, it reflects and refracts differently. And looking up, and they're rather large, just to not overwhelm the user. But each one of them is like witnessing the Aurora in a separate space. It is beautifully made. The same thing is happening on the large window at the front, and you see 3 unicorns. All of them styled a little bit differently. The one in the center with a very Aurora style hair, rainbow pattern, kind of bluish hair, or bluish fur, bluish face, that's what I meant to say. Another one is silver with a little bit of like dark brown, and the other one is various shades of green almost all over, with a trace of like just a white hint. And you recognize the symbology there from your temple as well as other temples. And the ground looks like it is, and this is the only part you did notice, but the ground looks like it is literally gilded with gold. And the walls and the ceiling. One moment. Oh, I just felt that one coming. Got it in time. And you look around, Dro, and you see plenty of posters, shops, people carrying wares and goods, people promoting, handing out free stuff to the people who are coming and going. And you know what to look for. There are occasional symbols just kind of like scattered around the room. A little bit in the same way that thieves' cant language can be like set into a sentence, and unless you know it, you wouldn't see it. But you recognize that particular curve on a poster that has the letter C on it, for example. You know that if you followed those, you could find what you were looking for. You could find what those lead to. And what else were you looking for besides that symbol?
That mostly, secondary would have probably been just the guards around.
There are guards. You do see the familiar members of the Order of the Twilight Watch. They're kind of like white gear, which is a little bit in contrast to the massive amount of colors that exist around here. They're a little bit plain on purpose so that they can be noticed.
So before we go any further, I know we want to keep on down low, and obviously, like most cities, have some sort of guard around, and they'll kind of motion towards one of them that isn't ideally looking at them. Anybody wearing anything similar to that, you can safely assume that they are part of the law here. And I don't know if that is good or bad for us with the history I have here, but it's better that you guys are aware what to look out for in the city. And obviously, pickpockets, as he kind of like bumps whoever's close to him, like bag to hold it closer.
Yaslin, definitely Yaslin.
Okay.
There's some pickpocket already stole 70 gold from her at the last station.
What do you mean a pickpocket stole 75 gold from me at the last station?
That was out of character.
Oh, I was like, I hope not.
That was a joke for when you go to count your money later.
I don't think Yaslin counts her money.
She just reaches in, see if it's empty or not.
She just got this like little feels. She's like, yeah, it's kind of heavy.
I straight up had an aunt that had to call my mom when she was having money problems once, and she's like, "But I don't get it. Why can't I spend anything more? I have more checks."
No. Oh no. Oh,
My
sweetie,
dear
that's
aunt
not the word.
doesn't human very well. She's an amazing artist, though.
Okay.
Alright, so Joe's just gonna try to take it in and try to recall directions. Yeah, I would suggest keeping your bags very close, tuck them in belts, and keep your coin bags not visible. But make sure you know where they are.
No.
And Zero's gonna try to just start to recall as they wander out of the station any familiar sights. Taking this time to recall his time in the city, but also trying to find his way to the runic tankard. Keeping an eye out for any individuals with a crescent.
Okay. First of all, give me a history check. Or, yeah, give me a history check to see how directionally challenged you are today.
18.
18. Tinkered is luckily an easy find. The good part about it is that unlike going to certain other areas, there are different areas in the city. The Old Town Square is essentially what you exit out into, and then you have various research and entertainment districts. You also have a couple of religious districts, and you know that the Runic Tankard is close by the temple that you want to go to, but that particular temple does not find as much interest or presence higher up into the city. It's more around the right-hand side. It's in a little bit more subtle section, and it's right across from your favorite escape location. So you just have to get out and head over, kind of like get out of the square and just kind of almost walk. I mean, it's a good while. It's about a 30-minute walk to get there, but it's very straightforward. You kind of tuck around the right-hand side, and like you guys have a view of the lake like the whole time. And at some point, Dro, that spot does come into focus, and you can share it with your group or not.
I think little of that, I think unintentionally, as Dro's going through the city, I think he jumps back into the habit of, instead of just like walking down the street like a normal person, he's going to the shadows. Like he used to. And I don't think he would realize he's doing it till like he'd get up a little ways and then realize he'd turn around and realize the group was probably a little further back. So he would stop, walk back.
Fortunately, I have my special eyes on for 45 more minutes. Perhaps.
Yeah, about so.
I would say I think Dro would also take his time. walking these streets again. Maybe recalling some buildings that he's perched up on at times and watched down at the city. And I think there would be a part of him that would watch the group and see how they were taking in the city. Almost kind of like, best way to describe it is like show and tell. See how the others are taking in the city.
Okay, gotcha. And as you guys get into Old Town Square, you leave this perfectly immaculate space. And there's very clearly, like, there's even like lines of gold set into perfectly smooth streets. It almost feels like an extension of the train station itself that kind of like literally have lines in the ground that guide you towards different locations. Dro immediately kind of takes you off of that and starts walking down a street that does not have the lines, that very quickly becomes a little bit more humble, and these perfectly manicured tiles and flat surfaces begin to give way to more cobblestone, a little bit more villagey vibe after you walk about 10 minutes. And there we go. And there are shops and eateries, and very quickly Joe's able to get you away from like the touristy scene and into more of the homey scene with his 18 on navigation, which is still pretty dang good.
Especially for Dro.
Especially for Joe. And just to give you guys so as you guys are kind of taking this in, it is very cold, like uncomfortably cold. For those who do not have thermal cubes, it is tolerable, but you are also getting chilly very fast. And there are people everywhere. This city is even in this section of the city where Dro is very clearly taking you away from the more densely populated location on purpose. It is still heavy with just all sorts of folk moving about, doing their business. There are little drawn lanterns all over the city. Lights from lanterns seems to be the primary lighting source on purpose. It is you see like glass and physical lights, you see paper lanterns, but they all seem to have kind of a shape of lantern as the light source. You don't really see freestanding like bulbs or magical auras or other styles of lighting besides that. So, as you guys are roaming around, how are you taking things in? How does it feel to you? What are your thoughts? Margot, you're getting a lot of the same details as before, but you also see much more subtle magical energies and whatnot. Most of the lights do have like a little bit of evocation in them. You see lots of magical auras coming off of people, especially those in scholarly attire who are moving around, like research equipment or scrolls, things like that. So what are you guys thinking as you go through? What does Dro see when he looks at you?
I think you definitely see Margot probably starting to shiver a little, but she is like bright-eyed and actually really smiling and just looks enchanted by this city. She is in love with this place. Probably the happiest you've ever seen her. Which isn't saying much, but...
First time something pretty caught her that wasn't like expensive and like it wasn't like daddy's money
it's
vibe.
Not, like pretty, yeah.
Yeah. Yaslin, how about you?
I think Yaslin being completely warm can fully appreciate being able to feel her toes. And she's never seen snow before, so this place to her is like... is just like, you know, it's one of those first time experiences, and so she's a bit wide-eyed and in awe, and I think she tries to maybe catch a couple in her hand before realizing that they all melt way before they even get to her hand.
Yeah, they totally do. You cannot touch it. Like as soon as you get to, it just kind of becomes like this light little mist. And you look around and it's pretty much happening to everybody. And for the other three of you that don't have your own thermal cubes, every once in a while, like you'll pass somebody and they have a cube and you can kind of get like a little bit of their heat bubble for a second. It's like, oh. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so Yaslin's like, so she kind of can probably maybe see her friends aren't maybe the warmest at the moment, but she's pretty warm herself, and so she's happy. She definitely is thankful she got a thermal cube because she knows she would be absolutely miserable otherwise.
Yes, she definitely would.
This would be the very opposite of you. She would be grumpy and grouchy and be like, I want to get inside. Instead, she likes it.
Okay. What's Seamus's vibe as you guys are walking through this new place?
He's a little on edge, actually. This is what Dent is like if everybody's souls and dreams hadn't been crushed under smog for their entire lifetime.
Oh my gosh, what the heck? That's a little intense.
If you don't already have it, take inspiration. If you do have it, take another.
But yeah, Seamus is just not used to it. Like, people seem to be enjoying themselves, and yeah, it's definitely putting him on edge. He was about ready to stab the guy in the train station as they got off. He was so cheery, and yeah, it's very foreign to him, even though it is also somewhat familiar.
Yeah. Alright. So, Dro, you see kind of like skeptical, twitchy eyes from Seamus. You see just like kid in a candy shop wonder from Margot. And you see Yaslin just like excitedly looking around and kind of playing a game with the fact that like she can't like actually grab things, so she's like trying to move like a little faster. It's still just not working. Like,
I think for once, since this whole travel, I think Dro actually just kind of looks and smiles when he looks at each of them and then looks at Seamus. That makes sense. And I think for a moment, I think he would just stop and kind of do what Yaslin's doing and trying to catch the snow, since it's been so long since he's been able to actually enjoy the snow. And I think I think he's trying to hide it, but not very well. That he's actually kind of excited to be home, so the cold isn't bugging him as much, at least that he's aware of.
Mhm.
But I think for just a few seconds, there's kind of a little bit of peace standing here and seeing that he stands in this street not by himself. And then I think the realization of it's fucking cold will hit. So he'll slowly start to scoot towards Yaslin.
Everyone is slowly
Start
starting
snuggling.
to just keep snuggling. Compared
Yeah.
to
Yep. And as you guys continue going, you get to a portion of the town that is very clearly selling like fishery and like fish and aquatic items. You see some things that look a little bit like a kelp, but most likely from the lake instead. And you see out on that glass surface out there in Dro, you have full view of that particular space. There's a few of these spots around town. People do interact with and live off of the lake and with, and the lake is a resource, and they also, generally speaking, people tend to treat it very well. You do come across one of these openings in this snowy little town. Snowy little town being like a subsection of the larger grand city. And Drower, is there anything that you want to do as you're walking that you want to show them? Is there anything other than just going through the tankard that's on your mind?
I think there would be a part, and it's noticeable that Dro's kind of eyeing certain buildings more than others. And then Morgan reminded me what we were talking about just earlier. Is that in view right now?
It is.
I
Yeah,
think
because you're moving kind of to the eastern side of Aurora's Rest. That's where it resides. If you had gone kind of over to the left side, towards a different part of town, it is not visible.
okay. So I think
And
once
it's kind of tucked into like a tight, like Aurora's Rest is tucked into like a bowl of the mountains, and this is tucked in across the way in a tighter space. Some of the mountains even like slightly creep over, like an overhang.
I think once Dro this is kind of looks at a few of the buildings a little longer than others. Trying to think. I'll just leave that for interpretation. Once his eyes wander over, I think once he sees it, I think he'll kind of just stop and stare at it for a little bit. More of just recalling, I guess, on his face. And I think he'll sit there just for a little bit.
Is everything okay?
Yeah. It's just, and he'll motion towards what he's looking at, which is a forest. Different than what we've seen coming in more. I'm gonna pull up the picture actually. more colorful. Actually, a lot more colorful. Morgan, how much would we be able to see from this distance?
Yeah. So you look out across the lake, and you couldn't see this from where you were before, but as he points it out, and he mentions, there's a forest. A lot of you do very clearly notice the lack of trees after a certain point, except for this spot here, across the lake, kind of tucked in, like I was saying. There is a forest, but it's not snow-covered pine trees. Instead, you have snow-covered maples and willows, aspens, and cherry. You have an entire array of some of the most beautiful trees there are, of various colors. You know, aspens are either green or they're yellow when it's fall time. Some of these aspens are like blue and pink. Some of the willows are deep green and purple that almost looks black. It is an entire array of color in this forest across the way that it just has this little icy beach that leads up to snow-covered, and then it goes in there and it very quickly becomes dark. And it's kind of far away. Like it would take you probably basically you have to take it's on the other side of the lake, and you guys were going very fast in the train. And it still took you about 10-15 minutes to get across the lake. But it's on the other side of the lake. It just wasn't visible until you got to this spot. And the whole vibe is a little bit heavy. Up above and all around you, the vibe is very brightly colored. And here it's like deep colors by contrast. Also, I'm so proud of our little boy. Mid-Journey learned words, guys. I'm actually getting the words runic tankard as I'm generating the bar.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Forest is beautiful. I've never seen anything like that.
It is very... He'll kind of look up at the Aurora in the back of the forest. It is beautiful in its own way. It is also quite dangerous. I've been there once. And that is actually the first place I ever met Echo. Which is ironic with his personality and the atmosphere of that forest, but that's a whole other conversation. So it's nice to see it again. I'll just kind of sit there and stare at it for a little bit.
Quick retcon there. You have been there more than once. That was where you could escape to a couple of times a year when the circumstances were right.
I'll retcon that a little, that whole conversation a little. That is not the safest travel. so not a whole lot of people tend to make their way there, which is good for a location to get away from the big city. And it is the first place I did meet Echo. And it was our place. And that is where I think the brother bond between me and Echo grew. But like I said, there's some crazy stuff in there. So it's good to admire from afar unless you expect and plan to run into the unexpected, which with us is a daily occurrence apparently. But
Can we get out of this cold?
yeah, I'm it's being gone for so long. This is hitting very hard, and I think the tavern is just up ahead, and he's gonna kind of grab people near him and start to move a little faster, but still eyeballing buildings almost like it's a path.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't take you guys very long to get to the tankard from this point. And as you come up, it is while a lot of the buildings around have a lot of elven influence in their architecture, it's a lot of like taller things with kind of like spindly vibes. The runic tankard is much more squat and like stout feeling. It's like big, heavy bricks, hard angles. There are runes everywhere, even on the outside of the building. And my music's not working. Okay. Why is this not working? It's having a problem with my sound, so I'll play something else. I think I have a problem with all my sounds. Are you guys hearing anything?
No.
Okay.
I hear something now.
Okay. Well, yeah, something's wrong. I think my tavern sounds are all corrupted. So I will change it up slightly. Okay. So as you guys get in, there are big, heavy doors, and I mean they are definitely heavy. They even have like a little bit of like ox fur or something like around the edges to kind of like seal out the air. And you have to push them in. It's like you're going into a Western saloon. You push them in, and they do like retract on their own. And inside, there are lots and lots of people. It smells heavily of grilled meats, ale, like Yaslin immediately gets excited.
This is the best.
Yep, and it's very large. It is a large spot. There's a lot of like dwarves and halflings and like stout folk here, but there's also a lot of you see plenty of other people that are tall. You see a very tall dragonborn with like white scales that are like every third one or so is like a little bit sparkly. He's sitting in the corner and like starting a shanty song almost, and getting everybody going there. and it smells like a lot of tobacco as well. This is a very like rough and tumble sort of place, but like nobody's beating each other up. It's just the salt of the earth type of folk of the town like to come here a lot.
I think.
And apparently, according to the song, that is not a tavern song. There's a horse in here somewhere.
The centaur
sound of
walking
them.
by.
Yeah, there's a minotaur who just like walked by you guys. It's like,
Nice.
hey.
If I recall, and it's been a bit since I've been here last, and to be fair, I don't think I technically paid for the food here.
Probably not.
Yaslin, they have, from my understanding, the very tasty lamb.
Mm-hmm.
And between us, the apple pie that's here is to die for. I'm pretty sure I've stolen bought many slices as Dro looks around to make sure no one heard. I think we sit down, get a bite to eat, get a room, and then we can go meet with Randar and hope he's at the temple.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. I think I got my music working now.
Just out of curiosity, is there anybody I recognize in here?
Go ahead and roll perception.
Nope.
Oh.
Nah. You recognize the archetypes of the people here. And they feel familiar even though none of them directly look familiar. You probably recognize the tavern keeper. Yeah. It's a dwarven woman with like, she always like leaves her sleeves bare and her arms are like jacked with muscle and scars. And like she's got, and then the other tavern owner is a tall female bugbear who has like cut away like portions of her fur to like stylize a look, and she's kind of got like a heavy thick braid down that also like braids like down in front of her shoulders. And the two are a couple, and everybody knows like, be nice to the tavern keeps, otherwise they'll kick your ass. They're the best tavern brawlers in the city.
Rose, I'm gonna look at Seamus and Margot. Do you guys care to get the rooms and Yazan and I can find a place to sit?
Of course, we can go to that. You want apple pie and ale and as much meat as possible, right? That's what we're getting for dinner?
I mean, I'm pretty sure they have more than just meat and apple pie, but whatever you guys want. And Bro is going to grab Margot's hand and put 10 gold pieces in it.
Sounds good.
I'll take a pint and a whiskey.
You're coming with me. Come on. You're purchasing this stuff with me. Get your ass up.
Aren't we getting the rooms?
That too.
What time is it? Can't really tell
It's
the
evening.
time.
You're a little bit jet lagged, basically. So you're like, I don't know, it's vaguely before midnight.
I feel like Yaslin is severely jet lagged. Like,
Yeah, probably.
she's missed more hours than everyone. I don't know anymore. It's some time in endless night skies.
Margot's gonna hook her arm through Seamus's and drag him towards the bar.
Alright, we have to find table. That's easy.
We find a table without violence.
Oh, of course.
I'm gonna look for a table that is tucked away a little bit.
Yeah, it's easy enough. You guys are. The city life really comes up a little bit later in the evening. The social life here is a little bit nocturnal. So you are able to go find a table, no problem.
As we approach the bar, I'm just gonna be scanning like their alcohol behind the wall to see what kind of good liquors they have.
Top shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Not too often I see a Hume who's just about as short as I am.
Ah, yes. I have not heard that one before. We're
No.
looking for rooms, food, and alcohol.
Yes, we have all three.
Mhm.
How many on the rooms, how much on the food, and how many bottles?
Do you have a room that can fit 4 comfortably?
Easily.
We'll get one of those for 5 nights.
5 nights? Alright, miss, that'll be about 35 gold.
Okay.
It's a big room,
Plus-
you'll feel nice.
I trust you in this. Plus, 4 apple pies, whatever
Mm.
your best meat-based meal is. Steak.
Somebody's been
Food,
speaking highly of
whatever
my
it is.
pies, because you're new. I've never
I
seen
have
you.
heard that, yes. You come highly recommended.
Glad to hear our pie's reputation precedes it.
As
Lovely.
does your ale.
Do you know the secret to the ale?
I do not, but I would love to learn.
The name is not an accident, dearie.
Mm.
We take our time. The ale is our pride. It's gonna cost you more than you expect. It's gonna be worth it. And it's
Trust-
gonna refill itself.
That I like to hear, for sure.
It's the best thing I've heard in town so far.
What's the point of a glass that runs empty, I say?
I guess 4 glasses of ale, a couple apple pies, and 4 of your best meals.
Done. All of that will get you to... It's about... We'll call it 10 gold for that bit.
45, easy enough.
45. All right. So, how much? And you're looking for just a lot of the lamb?
Yes, but if you have a well-rounded meal base, like some veggies and potatoes that go along the sides. I have a friend who, while her love of meat is admirable, probably needs some veggies in her life.
Fair enough. I've got a lovely mushroom risotto, and that should usually satisfy those that are bound to the earthy flavors.
That sounds amazing.
Right. So here, and she reaches back and grabs a key and like hands it towards you, and it's literally like an iron key with like a keyhole like on the end where like a little room number leather thong is attached to it, and like the keyhole is like a straight up diamond, like. And she drops it in your hands like a little. It's weighty. It's like a hefty key. This is old school tavern. And she's like, number 7 upstairs on the right. We'll bring your food up to you when it's ready, unless you're staying down here to eat for it.
I think we're over at that table with those two
I see.
individuals. Those are ours. Yes, we'll be right over
Lovely.
there.
How raw can you leave one of the lambs?
Perfectly.
I'll take it like that then, if you please.
I do please. That's the job. I aim to please. Oh! And she starts like, she turns around and starts singing and going to grab the ales.
Thank you. We'll make our way back.
Easy to do. You guys plop down on the table.
Alex, that woman is lovely. This place is just such a great pick.
I
It's
know.
not bad. I could see why you like it here.
I would hope so. The only thing is I didn't know what the pricing was because when I was here I never actually paid for anything.
It is one of the more expensive taverns I have ever paid for a room in, but we have a room for 5 nights, so at least we're covered.
That makes sense. I will say where we're at, whatever it was, is probably cheaper than what it would have been in the town squares. So, but you said 5 nights, right?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure we were covered for a time. We could extend if needed, or not use it all. It's no difference.
That got very loud.
That's it, yeah.
Sorry, it rotated onto another song that I didn't expect.
Okay, so we eat, we drink, and then I guess we will go talk to Randar.
Yes, sounds like a good plan.
Is everybody so bloody cheerful around here?
It's a beautiful city. Why not?
Yes and no. It is a very big tourist attraction, so you will see a lot of cheery faces. They're mostly like that with tourists, though. More locals, they're not as bad. But that's kind of another reason I always stuck to the shadows, because as much as a cheery is nice, it gets old real quick.
Real quick.
Come on, it's not that bad.
It's pretty bad.
Looks over it,
It's-
it gets old.
It's refreshing for now.
So, I know we talked about having questions, and Rendar might be the guy for the answers, or at least the guy that can find out answers. But I think it's best if we make sure we have everything we want to ask ready, I guess. The downside is if he doesn't know the answer, he will probably know where to go to get it. It's just if he'll be able to go there.
I know we had questions for the guild, but were there questions you would prefer asking this Randar rather than the guild?
Nothing that involves all of us. I also need to check in with him since he was technically the one that sent me out on the adventure. A caveat to that is I don't know if you will want to have that conversation in front of a crowd. He tends to be more private around strangers until he fully knows he can trust you, which I can talk to him and get that situated. So I just be aware that there might be a time where I have to have a private conversation with him.
No. We can always be close by and I can be in here so you can call for help without any alarm raised.
I don't think I'll need any help. I might get a good smack in the back of the head, but nothing that she hasn't done or you have done, or surprisingly Seamus hasn't done anything to me yet.
Never smacked you.
Not physically, but do we want to talk about the magic? So, and this is all hopes that he's at the temple. He tends to be very busy. So, we're just kind of rolling the dice here to see. But he's most commonly found there.
I'm gonna slowly dim the lights around our table.
It works. Alright. And this time the bugbear woman, not the dwarven woman, comes up, and she's got she's got very long arms as bugbears do, and very long fingers as well, as she grips around 4 huge tankards. All of them literally have runes etched into the wood and the metal themselves. She sets those down roughly, clearly not caring that she's spilling some on the table. There's ales, and with her other hand drops a big platter in front of you. It kind of clashes, and you see in the center there's 4 apple pies. Kind of in the front there's a ring of risottos, and on the back is just a lot of meat, and it goes from kind of cooked in a gradient scale of raw to medium well.
This looks lovely, thank you.
Before Yaslin even grabs it, Dro grabs a piece immediately. As soon as he sees Yaslin look at the meat.
Yeah.
Have fun, kiddos! And she turns around and goes back to other customers.
Well, I was thinking, just from the sheer magic of this place, looking up at the sky, I can see almost multiple dimensions and planes through the light. It's incredible, the connection and power here. I might try to convince my mother to send me the directions for the ceremony, so if we find who we're looking for, we could do it here, close to so many different planes of existence, if you trusted me to attempt that. And if I could even get the information first.
Mid-mouthful of apple pie. Are you talking Echo?
Yes. Just seeing how connected we are to so many different planes, this might be the best place for it.
I'm just kind of staring down at the ale in front of him. It would be poetic, I guess. This is where I first met him, and this could be the place where he comes back.
Don't make any promises that my mother would even send me the ceremony, but I will try if that's something you are open to.
How long would you think it would take to get the ceremony here if she were to send it?
Well, I imagine directions would be quick if she sent them. My concern would be if there are special ingredients that might take longer. But I will write her tonight before we go to sleep. Should have an answer by tomorrow. Yes or no.
Doesn't say anything, just kind of shakes his head yes and goes back to eating.
I'm gonna hold up my tankard to Yaslin and say, "Bottoms up."
Oh, is the competition?
No, just a Shalante.
Oh,
And I'll cheers her and see if I can find the bottom of this tankard.
Oh no!
yeah.
Roll me a Constitution check. Not a save yet, but a check.
That is a niner.
That's all right. You know, it's not a great feat of strength or endurance or anything, but you do have to like focus on it and like drink. Your belly's like definitely a little more full, like of like a single go than you were expecting. But as you get to the bottom of the tankard, there is another rune in the bottom of it, and they all kind of like light up a little bit at the same time, and new ale begins to flow out of that bottom rune and fill things back up. And this ale in particular is like a deep malted wheat with a little bit of like a molasses sweetness, and it's also got like a red pepper sort of spice to it at the very back end. It is a hearty but very, very well crafted beer.
Magical. Pure magical.
Joe just kind of looks at it, like eyes over the cup at Seamus, and just kind of laughs. He knows there's no end to that.
Mm-hmm. You do, Dro, you know, and like it's on like the walls in like a couple of places. That the all of the ales like reset at dawn. Like at dawn, they like all like lose their charge, and they have to like be woken up again by the next day.
I hope you don't plan to get too drunk yet, Seamus.
I just had to test it.
And you definitely did test it.
How'd that go for you?
It was worth the test. What do you think, Yaslin?
Usually, not the biggest alcohol drinker, but it was pretty good. Surprisingly.
Well, I appreciate you humoring me.
I'm gonna slide a mug in front of Margot.
She like
Drink,
very
drink.
daintily drinks it.
Chug, chug, chug.
No, no. We do not chug this. We chug much harder than this. This is just too heavy. You need some good
Oh.
liquor.
I love how painful the word chug was for Margot to actually say
We
out
do
loud.
not chug.
Do not chug.
Not something we do. We do not chug.
To the Soldiers of Aeon.
I can chew that.
Still eating the apple pie.
Out of personal habit, Seamus touches the table every time he cheerses the group. Exactly.
You guys have a hearty, proper meal at some place that you didn't have to prepare anything. You're in a new location. This particular building is warm. There's a lot of people in it. There's great fires going. Yaslin's little heat bubble is still operating around you guys as well. And this is cozy. This is generally pretty nice, even if it feels like weirdly foreign to Seamus. Is there anything you guys want to do for the night before the group wraps up for the evening and retires?
We're going to see your friend tonight, right? Or tomorrow?
How late is it?
At this point, after you guys converse for a little while, you are probably getting close to around midnight. Randar is one of the less nocturnal people because he's got a lot of work to do in the day.
It might be better if we see him in the day. We might have a better chance of catching him. Yeah. Honestly, last time I woke him up this late, about the last 5 minutes are kind of blurry, so I'd rather not experience that again.
We have a room, which I hope has a bathroom with a proper bath.
Great. I say we take this night and relax and kind of glance over at Seamus and drink. And then tomorrow we'll take care of business.
Yes, I'm going to get some proper alcohol. I'm gonna go back up to the bar
Alcohol? What?
and see if they have anything that looks vodka-esque.
Oh my god.
They also do have a large array of liquors, and you do see some that are clear.
Do I recognize any from the Empire?
Ooh. Give me a quick perception.
Oh gosh.
Poor guy, like we had the same reaction.
Performance? That's not right. 13?
13? Yeah, there actually are two bottles that you recognize. One is kind of this tall, skinny, dark glass bottle with, you can see that the liquid inside is so clear, but it's almost perfectly straight up. And it's only about like that thick. And that one is a liquor that's like very harsh, and most liquors are like, they have a certain flavor up front, and then the back end is like burny and a little bit more bitter. And this one is interesting because it's the reverse. It's very burny and bitter up front, and then like it kind of like makes you squint and shiver, and then it like relaxes and like calms off with like a little bit of like a sweetness to it. And the other one looks a little bit like a perfume bottle, where it like comes up and it's got like a purple crystal stopper in it. And you know that one literally has like ground up flakes of like an edible crystal that does not dissolve in the liquid.
He's gonna lean over the bar and be like, Miss, I knew I liked you immediately. That one, with the purple, get me a glass of that neat, please.
I don't have enough people that ordered that one. I like you too.
Taste of home.
Yeah. Where are you from, Missy?
The Empire, obviously, if I'm ordering that.
Right. But which part?
Mm. Perhaps a little more drinks with me and you'll find out.
Fair enough. And she like reaches up and she's like, "Oh right, Prim." And the bugbear lady has to come over and like doesn't even say anything to her, just like sees where her eye line is and grabs that exact bottle and brings it down. "Thanks, love." And she gives it to you and be like, "All right, this one's imported, obviously.
Obviously.
It's a little pricey. You good?"
I would pay for a taste of home any night.
And for that, it's a little less pricey. 3 gold for a neat. And she's gonna like pour one for
Give
herself.
me a double.
She hands the second shot glass over to you and pours herself one. She looks at you and says, "Macdo."
Mhm. She's gonna shoot it.
Every damn time it makes my eyes water.
I'll get one more and take it back to my table.
Perfect. Total of 9.
Slides gold over. Thank you.
Welcome. What's the name, Nissy?
Marco.
Lovely to meet you, Marco. Ilar.
And you? Ilar. Lovely to meet you as well. I'm so excited to be staying in your establishment for the next few nights.
Likewise. Love it.
I'll on that.
Who's next?
Purple drink.
My screaming is the bartender as the dog, very concerned. Hi, the dog. Okay, Margot comes back, kind of doing like that thing with the shot glasses.
Straw eyeballs you like,
Are you
Yes?
gonna chug all of those?
That is the point of shots, is it not?
No.
I don't think I've ever seen Margot take shots.
Yeah,
That's because
okay.
you don't typically have good liquor at where we go. This place has acceptable liquor.
She
Oh.
Tro just stares at her drink.
Just how strong is that?
Perfectly strong. I am no longer cold at all. My soul is warm.
Okay. Well, you go ahead and drink your fat. And at least I will stick to the endless cheap liquor.
Still have that here too. I just needed to cleanse my palate.
I mean, to be fair, it can't be worse than the wine we had in that short town.
No, please don't. Please don't. It was literally the only thing, and
Aren't you the one that drank the most of it?
yeah, that's why I'm asking you not to remind me.
Joe just pushes her cup closer to her.
Ugh.
As
Just
Joe starts
wash
taking
away the
sip,
memories.
I prestidigitate the flavor of the old wine, like that wine, back into his mouth, just for a swig. And then
Do
it's
I
gone.
see her do something with her hands?
I'm no.
Uh,
I just did
Margot,
like 4 shots. I don't think I'm subtle.
No, it's not relevant. And
You can roll
Lazarus
a
is
sleight of
very
hand,
upset.
but
No.
Just look at you. Look at the cup. Stare at you. Slide his cup over to you. You said you'll drink some.
take the magic off of it and drink it and slide it.
Shake his head. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so Yaslin, you get a... never mind. Ignore that.
Try to get a whiff of it as it goes by.
Yeah, and it makes you
It's
kind of
really
angry.
fireball after college.
Oh, no. I think that's enough drinking for me.
No, that stuff in Wibble was like,
Yeah, that's
If
something
college
really
students-
foul.
if college students had less money and they couldn't afford Fireball very often, and they like half and halved it with like mouthwash, that's about what it
Everclear with
was.
cinnamon in it.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Anything else you guys want to do or talk about before your night is complete?
Once we get up to the bedroom, I wanna write a message to my mom asking if she would provide me with the directions for a soul binding. Because I kind of remember the ceremony a little, but I'm sure I don't know all the ingredients, the
Mhm.
spell work, the ceremony, all of that.
Okay. Seamus, how about you?
No, nothing on my agenda right now.
Okay. Yes, or Drew?
While we're still down here, I think Dro would just enjoy the time he has with the group here as we're laughing, drinking, eating, and having a good time. When they get up to the room, my question is, does the room have a window?
Oh, yes.
And I know
It is a rather large room. It can comfortably seat like 4 twin beds. There is a private bathroom with like a large, like stone bath in it as well, and there are runes encased into that as well.
Omar was
and
absolutely
over-
using that.
Yeah. And overall, it's very cozy. It is a nice feel to it.
Is it safe to assume, because you mentioned Dro would hop from building to building, that this be one of them that he's been on top of before?
Oh, yes.
I think he would find his way up onto the roof for old times and just look across the city for a little bit while everyone starts to settle down and do what they're doing in the room. I don't think he'd stay up there too long since he's not comfortable with the cold like he used to be, but just a couple minutes.
All right. And you guys all eventually find your way to sleep, to bed. Get yourselves settled in for the night. Oh, Yaslin, did we do what you were doing?
I
Sorry.
think, yeah, no, it's all good. Before Yaslin goes to bed, she does contact her grandfather and ask him if there was, or there is, like, some sort of technique that she can use if she is losing control of her soul bond. And her grandfather already knows that she's had troubles in the past with this, so this isn't new
Mhm.
news to him.
Yeah. So I think at this time,
It's
you reach
good.
out to him and there's no response.
He's probably sleeping. To be fair, I did contact him at who knows when. Okay. I'll just contact him in the morning.
All right. With that, you guys settle down for the night, finishing up final routines, and you settle in. The bath is delectable. It's like your own personal hot tub. There are plenty of like scented bars of soap and everything around there. There's quite a variety that you could choose from. And even though the style of the inn is a little bit more earthy and simple, it's simple done with elegance and purpose, and it feels like they're taking care, just not being fancy while they do it.
You bet she's using this bath every night.
All right. So with that, we will end for the night.